Welcome to Fenway Park. It's cloud covered as the Red Sox and Orioles continue their three-game series. Tonight, Game 2 between the O's and Red Sox from Fenway. Hi again, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo, and welcome to Red Sox baseball. Well, so far on the roster front, it's been pretty quiet for the Red Sox. What they started with is what they've gone with until today. The Red Sox making a couple of moves today, and one included Jose Iglesias going back down to Pawtucket, as it turns out. Stephen Drew is ready to go after the 7-day DL for the concussion, 4 rehab games with Portland. And, of course, he signed a $9.5 million one-year deal. Iglesias was on fire, 9 for 20 at the plate, but he goes back to the Paw Sox. John Lackey threw yesterday on the side, felt some tightness in his biceps, so to the DL he goes. Alex Wilson, who we saw during spring training, comes up. 2009 second-round pick, spent last year with the Paw Sox. We welcome in Jerry Remy, and Jerry, so far it has been a historic beginning defensively for the Red Sox.
It really has. You know, the Red Sox have played good baseball, but what's gone overlooked, I think, is the defense for this club. They have not yet made an error on the field so far this season. Now, maybe that'll jinx him, I don't know, but they've been outstanding. Early in the season at Yankee Stadium, Jackie Bradley Jr. going back to make a play. They've come from all over the place. David Ross throwing out 2 runners in one game at second base. That's also against the Yankees. And in the home opener here, Will Middlebrooks making a nice play defensively down at third base. So the fine plays have come from every place on the field. And, of course, the combination of the good pitching that the Red Sox got and the good defense they've got, it has really made things easy for them to win some ball games.
Well, the Red Sox had a very nice win here on opening day. What a day it was, as the Red Sox victorious in Game 1. And the hero was Daniel Nava with his 3-run home run. Jenny Dell will talk more about Daniel Nava when we return to Fenway Park. Deals by Toyota.com and by Southwest Airlines. Now, welcome back to Fenway Park as they exchange lineups at home plate. Lightly raining here at Fenway Park. We mentioned, Jenny, that Daniel Nava was a big hero on Monday.
Yes, and it was Daniel Nava's first opening day start here at Fenway Park, and his first time facing a left-hander in 2013 when he blasted that 3-run home run in the 7th, and it led the Red Sox to their 9th consecutive home victory for a home opener. And that brings us to our quote of the day presented by Geico from Daniel Nava. He said it was a special just because it was opening day. I wasn't trying to hit a home run. I just worked out like that. But to contribute and get us a lead in a tight game after Buck pitched so well is something that I think anyone who stepped in the box in that situation was looking to do. And that's exactly what Daniel Nava said post-game on Monday. And, folks, he's back in the lineup tonight as a DH.
Well, tonight for the Red Sox on the mound, making his second start in a Red Sox uniform, is Ryan Dempster, and certainly trying to bounce back after his tough outing in his first outing, giving up 3 runs in 5 innings. game of the 3-game series, as it is lightly raining here at Fenway Park, and right now the tarp is where it should be, rolled up on the side down there, not yet out, which is good news, and right now should not stop us from playing, but it is raining a little bit harder as the rain started about 10-15 minutes ago and is coming down here at Fenway Park harder than it has here in the last hour or so. So hopefully not a problem tonight. There is a chance for showers as the night goes on. Red Sox about to take the field here at Fenway in their second game of the home schedule. And Ryan Dempster leads his team out of the dugout for the Red Sox tonight. As the Red Sox take the field, let's check out the visiting Baltimore Orioles starting lineup. And the O's starting lineup tonight is brought to you by Jordan's Furniture. Nate McLeod leads it off in left field with Manny Machado at third base batting second. Nick Markakis in right field bats third with Adam Jones in center in the cleanup spot. Chris Davis at first base off to a fantastic start, hitting at .417 on the year. Matt Wieters does the catching, bats sixth with J.J. Hardy at shortstop. Ryan Flaherty from Portland, Maine is at second base. He bats eighth. And Nolan Reimold, the designated hitter, bats out of the number 9 spot for the Orioles. On the mound tonight for the Red Sox is Ryan Dempster. In his first outing, took the loss against the Yankees. 5 innings, 5 hits, and 3 runs. Did get up over 100 pitches at 101 as he gets a start tonight for the Red Sox. His first game at home in a Red Sox uniform, and his first start as a member of the Red Sox at Fenway. 1-1 with a 6.06 ERA in his career at Fenway.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. The Red Sox have not made an error in the 7 games that they have played. Tonight, Will Middlebrooks will be at third base. Stephen Drew, the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. And Mike Napoli, the first baseman. Left to right, Jackie Bradley Jr., Jacoby Ellsbury, and Shane Victorino. And Jared Saltalamacchia doing the catching for Dempster.
Now the umpiring crew tonight, it is Corey Blazer behind the plate with Jim Joyce at first base, Jim Wolf at second base, and Ed Hickox is the umpire at third. Tonight's game is available in Spanish by pressing the SAP button on your television remote. Enjoy the game.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Well, raining harder now than it has been so far tonight. 51 degrees as we start the game. Breeze in from right at 11 miles per hour. And these showers are expected throughout the night. So here we go. Raining as Ryan Dempster ready to go with the first pitch of the ball game. And it's in there for strike one. We're underway. Nate McLeod leading it off here for the O's. 6 for 22 out of the gate for the Orioles leadoff hitter. That'll just miss inside.
Well, from Dempster, the Orioles will see the fastball, the cuts fastball, breaking ball, split-fingered fastball.
In there for strike two. Well, Dempster in his career against Baltimore 1-0 and 2 career starts against the Orioles. Faced the club in '99 and 2012. 2 runs in 13 in the third innings.
Take another look at that last pitch. It looked like a split or a cut fastball that was very close to being a strike.
Too far inside, full count. Native of British Columbia, ranked second all time among Canadian major leaguers in wins. 124 wins for Dempster. Only Hall of Famer Ferguson Jenkins. More wins. This one lined down the right field line, foul. Out ahead of that.
Well, there was some reports we had not seen rain till after midnight, but it has showed up right about game time.
McLeod will take the walk and head down to first base. So a battle there as McLeod works a walk to get it started, and Manny Machado coming up here for the Orioles. And the wild card winners last year, the Baltimore Orioles, trying to repeat what they did last year, and largely able to do it in a lot of one-run contests, 29 and 9 and one-run games last year, and tough to repeat if your Buck Showalter, but a terrific job of turning this Orioles organization around. He, along with Dan Duquette, the general manager, pushing all the right buttons last year to get to the postseason and trying to do it again. Machado shows bunt and takes strike one.
And McLeod at first base needs attention. He's got a couple of steals already on the season, has not been caught. Machado faking the bunt on that first pitch.
Machado takes strike two.
Dempster that time keeping the fastball down in the strike zone, lower part of the strike zone, to quickly get ahead. No balls and 2 strikes.
Machado last year making the jump from Double-A to the majors. The healthy Nick Markakis waiting on deck. That is just off the outside edge. Machado jumping up from Double-A Bowie last year. He's called up on August the 9th and remained in the big leagues with the Orioles on the postseason roster, playing at third base. One, two. Little number that is a foul ball. Indication from Corey Blazer. Home plate umpire aggressively hopping out with Saltalamacchia.
And Dempster ducking down quickly. He thought Saltalamacchia was going to throw that ball at second base to try to get the lead man, but the ball in foul territory. Let Salty come up willing to throw here and watch Dempster go down so the ball doesn't hit him.
South with a relatively short lead at first base. 1-2. And a fly ball out to right center field. On the run is Ellsbury. And over comes Victorino, and it falls. Ellsbury will pick it and fire back in. The throw to second base is not going to be in time. And it's a miscommunication out there in right center field. Ellsbury was headed over. Victorino stepped in, and it falls between the two.
Well, wouldn't you know it, we highlight the defense in the open, and a defensive mistake by the Red Sox. Generally, the center fielder takes charge here and calls off the right fielder. And you can see Jacoby Ellsbury is doing that, but Victorino was in a spot where it was almost impossible to get out of the way, and the ball drops in. It looked like it was an easy play for Victorino, but it was Jacoby Ellsbury calling for the ball.
So second and third, nobody out. They have placed an error on Ellsbury. So the first miscue of the year for the Red Sox. Puts Dempster in a tough spot here in the first inning. And Markakis looks at ball two. Dempster trying to work that inside edge and missing on 2 occasions. I think Markakis off to a .355 start to begin the season. And his first career DL stint last year. Fractured his hamate bone in his right hand as he takes the strike. 2-1.
2-0 count, a fastball count. Markakis thinking possibly fastball, but gets a split-fingered fastball from Dempster. Red Sox early in the ball game playing the infield back all the way, with the exception of Will Middlebrooks at third base.
Inside, 3-1. First time the Markakis has been on the DL. He was on there twice last year. Mentioned the hamate fracture, and also had a broken thumb at the end of the year, which kept him on the DL for the postseason. Kind of a shame for Markakis. All the lean years in Baltimore, they finally get to the postseason and he can't participate. 3-1 is grounded down the first baseline, foul. On deck, Adam Jones, as the Orioles trying to get off to a fast start today. And Dempster taking a walk around in behind the mound. Markakis chops it to first base. Napoli will tag the bag for the out. Run scores as Nate McLeod comes in from third base. And the Orioles take a 1-0 lead. Markakis will pick up his second RBI.
Well, the Red Sox right now, and Dempster just trying to minimize the damage here in the first inning. The mentioned the infield was back. No play at home play for Napoli. He takes the out, but a run does come across. Now with one out, the Red Sox will bring the infield in.
So one down, and Machado 90 feet away as Adam Jones gets settled in. $15 out of 30 so far for Jones at the plate, and he'll foul it off to the right. And the Red Sox coming in today, one of only 2 teams to not have a miscue on the year. The Detroit Tigers remain the only team right now who's not made an error.
I blame myself, Don. I mentioned that we should talk about the great defense in the open, and what happens in the first inning, you get the error. So blame it on me.
With the 6th error for Jacoby Ellsbury of his career. A lot of times when a player does not touch the ball, they have a hard time handing out an error if it doesn't make contact with somebody.
But that ball should have been handled by somebody.
Somebody should have caught it.
Yeah, it was up there high enough and long enough.
1-1. He goes around. Jones could not hold up, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
It's like a breaking ball this time, and a very off-balance swing by Adam Jones, who has really been hot. 7-game hitting streak, hitting .500 on the season.
One-two pitch to Adam Jones. That's low and away. 2-2. On deck for the Orioles, Chris Davis, another hot hitter, .417 on the year. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Dempster needed that. Something that didn't include contact. And he strikes out Adam Jones. First K for Dempster on the night.
And to get that, he goes to the split-fingered fastball. Everything had been away from Adam Jones in that at bat, and then the splitter at the bottom of the strike zone to put him away. The pitch zone on NESN is brought to you by Amica. Amica Insurance. Great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance.
2 down here in the first inning. Manny Machado is at third base, and Chris Davis the batter. .417 average, 10 for 24 out of the gate for Davis. Well, to start for Davis, 17 RBIs already on the year. First 4 games of the season, he had 16. This is sent foul off to the left, out of play.
With the man at third base in scoring position, the Red Sox do not put the shift on Davis. They had the shift on him pretty much the whole time in game 1 of this series, but not with the man at third base.
It's been quite good in this situation so far this season. 4 for 5 with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. That is strike 2. Dempster trying to pitch his way around a walk and an error in this inning. A run already in. Machado at third base with 2 outs in the inning. In the dirt, gathered by Saltalamacchia at 2-2. Ryan Dempster last season with the Cubs to begin the year. Went to Texas. 7-3 in Texas with an ERA up over 5. This one fouled off to the left. 2-2. Well, W.B. Mason welcomes the Red Sox back for the 2013 season. For a delicious cup of coffee at the office, try W.B. Mason's coffee service featuring the Carrot Coffee System with Green Mountain Coffee. Two balls, two strikes, two down to Chris Davis here in the first inning. Strike three call. Dempster nicely done to get out of that jam. A run in for the Orioles. 1-0 Baltimore. Red Sox coming up. New England Chevy dealers. Jacoby Ellsbury in center field, Shane Victorino in right, Dustin Pedroia at second base, bats third, Mike Napoli at first base in the cleanup spot, Will Middlebrooks at third with Daniel Nava, Monday's hero, the DH. Jared Saltalamacchia does the catching with Stephen Drew in his Red Sox debut, batting eighth, and Jackie Bradley Jr. bats out of the number 9 spot and in left field. Jake Arrieta on the mound tonight for the Orioles. A no decision against Minnesota. In his first start of the year, he went 5 innings, 7 hits, and gave up 5 runs. There are 93 pitches in that first outing for the Orioles. Second start of the season coming up.
The defense tonight for the Orioles, they've made 4 errors in their 7 games. Manny Machado will be at third base. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop. Ryan Flaherty at second, and Chris Davis, the first baseman. Left to right, Nate McLeod, Adam Jones, and Nick Markakis, and Matt Wieters doing the catching for Arrieta.
Rain has subsided for the moment as we play into the bottom of the first inning. Orioles get a run in the top half of the first. Jacoby Ellsbury tagged with an error in the top half of the first inning. Red Sox first miscue of the year, and it led to an Orioles run. Ellsbury takes strike one from the 26-year-old. Ellsbury at 273 with a home run, 7 runs batted in to start the year. 9 for 33 to begin the season. And for Arrieta, 5 games, 4 starts against Boston, has never beaten the Red Sox. He is 0-3 coming in with a 6.00 earned run average. Last start was July 7th of 2011 against Boston. Ground ball and 2 hops to first. Davis has got it. He'll tag the bag. Well, AT&T brings us today's Twitter question. John Lackey now on the disabled list. What adjustments would you make to the Red Sox starting rotation? Send us your comments at #SoxStarters, and we'll bring you the best tweets from Red Sox Nation later in tonight's game. Well, John Lackey throwing on the side yesterday just to get a feel for how that bicep situation was going to be, and it was tight again. There was some optimism that he may not need to go on the DL on Monday, but became clear yesterday that they really didn't know when he was going to be able to pitch again.
Yeah, you kind of had sense, Don, that he was going to have to go on the DL, and of course Aceves getting the start in his place.
Arrieta flips underhanded for the second out of the inning.
You know, one thing that John Lackey has to be absolutely sure of is that when he takes the mound again, he's not going to have any kind of feeling at all in that bicep that might cause him to be apprehensive and have the same thing happen. So it could be more of a drawn out thing, I think, than maybe we expect.
So as you mentioned, Alfredo Aceves sliding into that spot. Red Sox have switched up their rotation a little bit as well. We'll see Alfredo Aceves in the final game of this series tomorrow. And Felix Doubront will be pushed out a little bit for the Red Sox, and Doubront scheduled to get the start in the first game of the series against Tampa Bay on Friday. Pedroia batting with 2 down here in the first inning. Another tough situation today also as far as roster moves go. Jose Iglesias was called in yesterday on the off day, and John Farrell let him know that he'd be headed back to Pawtucket, not for anything that he did wrong.
No, that's for sure.
Did everything right. But it just worked out. And John Farrell was honest about this from the get-go in spring training. When Stephen Drew comes back, it's Stephen Drew's job, and he would say it over and over again. And you know, you looked at the way Jose Iglesias started out of the gate incredibly well, and the one thing you don't expect from him is offense all these years, and all of a sudden he brought a lot of offense early. 1-2 is on the outside corner, strike 3. Pedroia strikes out. A 9-pitch 1-2-3 first inning for Arrieta. The O's have a 1-0 lead. One nothing lead. In case you did not see the end of the pregame, an interview with Tom Caron and our own Jerry Remy. And Jerry, some scary news really from you before the game today, and tell us a little bit more.
Well, I always promised that I would be honest with the fans of Red Sox Nation, because they've always been great to me. And, you know, last couple of years I've had some health issues, as we all know. 4 years ago diagnosed with cancer. And you know, the last couple of years I've had to miss some games, and there's been all kind of speculation about, you know, well, is he sick again? Does he have this? And this past off season, going through my normal CAT scan of 6 months, they did find a spot on my lung again, and they biopsied it once a year ago. It was negative. They biopsied it again this year. It was positive. And so we did what we had to do. I came back during March, and I had some radiation treatment at the Mass General Hospital, and since then everything has been fine. So you know, that's the course of action, the radiation. I'm right now back on my treatment of just going back to get my annual, my biannual CAT scans and make sure it doesn't come back. So I'm very thankful for the doctors at Mass General that have you know, been with me through all this and have picked these things up early. And I always promised I would be honest with the fans about, you know, my health issues, and so I felt it's time to get it out. And if I could say anything to the people out there, just get to a doctor. Early detection saves lives. And once again, I'm very lucky.
Well, very scary news today, but very good that everything is okay, and that's the important thing here. Play at first base, the Red Sox are able to make, as it turns out, covering the bag was Ryan Dempster. J.J. Hardy batting with one out here in the second inning. This one popped up, foul ground, racing is Saltalamacchia. May have a play, can't make it as he bangs into the short wall. That hurt.
First out of the inning, the ground ball to Napoli on the backhand that he bobbles, but he gets it over to first base in time. And Saltalamacchia, after we look at the Napoli play again, going right up as far as he can, but just can't quite reach it as he reaches over in the stands.
The ground ball to short, Stephen Drew's first bid, and it's there in time, 2 down. Well, Stephen Drew being added to the roster today, 4 games for the Portland Sea Dogs as he made his way back and rehab. And kind of a scary situation. He was hitting the bill of the helmet with a pitch at Hammond Stadium against the Minnesota Twins. Did not appear to have any problems. Ran right down to first base, but later on that night had some trouble reading, and all of a sudden he was having concussion symptoms and failed the MLB test that is now standard anytime there's a question as to whether or not you have a concussion. And soon after that was seen by a doctor in Pittsburgh after he had completed and successfully passed the concussion test and has worked his way back. But kind of a scary situation for him. He starts the year on the 7-day DL, which is a new concussion list that has been implemented in Major League Baseball the last couple of years. And a tough situation for him. Jose Iglesias started very well for the Red Sox. A tough decision they had to make, but one that they were ready to make all spring training long, with Stephen Drew pegged for the shortstop spot.
Don, he was saying that he's had concussions before playing football, but he said this was completely different. And I know earlier in spring training we talked about the new MLB mandated helmets that they're wearing. He said thank God, because he doesn't know what it would have been like if he was wearing the helmets that they were wearing last year, new protective helmets this year. He said that the symptoms were still around, and roughly a week and a half ago is when he first started feeling completely better.
That's great news, as Stephen Drew really didn't get a chance to participate a lot in spring training as a result. Ryan Flaherty batting with 2 down will lace this down the right field line, and that ball is foul. It's to the right of the pole. If you're Jose Iglesias, you got to be saying, what did I do wrong to be sent back down to Pawtucket?
Well, John Farrell said he took it very professionally going down. What I hope is that he goes down and works as hard as he did when he was up here, you know, because he was really working hard. He's made great strides. I hope he doesn't get down on himself because they sent him down to the minor league. Just continues to progress the way that he has, because, you know, you never know how quick he might come back.
Flaherty with a swing and a miss. Third strikeout for Dempster. A 1-2-3 second inning. O's by 1. on the Dennis and Callahan Show. DNC will break down Ryan Dempster's Fenway debut and speak with Celtics coach Doc Rivers at 9 a.m. It all begins at 6 a.m. here in Nesson on 93.7 WEEI FM. Dennis and Callahan, the most listened to morning show in New England. And welcome to your first game.
I hope it dries up a little bit for you during your first game here at Fenway.
Still raining here at Fenway Park, on and off again tonight. Mike Napoli lifts a fly ball to straightaway center field. Adam Jones looking up into the raindrops makes the catch for the first out of the second inning. 4 in a row out of the gate, retired by Jake Arrieta. Will Middlebrooks coming up. Middlebrooks will take a pitch inside for ball 1. Middlebrooks tied for second in the American League with a team high 4 home run total so far. And of course, 3 of those coming in one game against Toronto on Sunday. Finale of the Red Sox road trip. Second major league season. First time he's been on the opening day roster. Called up last year on May the 2nd. Of course, took over at third base at that point. And on the DL, the wrist fracture on August the 10th. 2-1. Sliced foul down the right field line.
Arrieta showing a good live fastball right now. It lats with a 95, and Middlebrooks late on the swing.
So 2-2 here to Middlebrooks. Waiting on deck, Daniel Nava. Hero on Monday with a big 3-run home run. The Red Sox having trouble getting to Orioles pitching at the time, but big home run late in the game. 2-2 is grounded foul.
A happy fan right there. And Red Sox Nation, we want to hear from you about something. Do you have a story to tell about why you're at Fenway Park this summer? If so, we want to hear it. So go to NESN.com/stories and let us know why you're at Fenway, and I will choose the most interesting entry to interview during select future home games.
Fly ball to center field. Adam Jones out there to make the catch for the second out. Middlebrooks is retired. 2 down in the inning. 5 in a row retired by Arrieta. We look forward to some of the stories from Red Sox Nation here at Fenway Park.
Yeah, from what I understand, tomorrow's going to be her debut with one of those stories. Tomorrow night when we have the game, not during the day.
2 down for Daniel Nava. 6 for 12 start to his season. Shows bunt, pulls it back, and takes a pitch inside. Nava's 3-run home run was the second home run that he's hit this season. Also had one on Sunday, part of the Red Sox home run barrage. Inside again, 3-0. 2 home runs for Daniel Nava. Well, the first one was on Monday. 3-run home run for Nava. The 3-0 pitch is going to miss, and a 4-pitch walk down to first for Nava. And falling hard again as Buck Showalter goes to work on his scorecard. 2 down. And Nava at first base. Here's Jared Saltalamacchia. Jared out of the lineup on the home opener. David Ross made the start, and David Ross actually caught Ryan Dempster in his first start. So now Saltalamacchia catching Dempster tonight and getting the start tonight in game 2 of the series against the O's. I get the feeling it's going to be one of these nights where it just rains through the entire game, and hopefully not to the degree that will stop the game, but so far it's just been a shower. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Trying to keep that ball up on Saltalamacchia. It seems like they try to go upstairs against Salty to try to get the swing and miss up above the belt, and that ball about letter high right there, right at the top of the strike zone.
It is a pattern that is developing, it appears.
It's either that or a breaking ball in the dirt.
There's a fly ball out to deep left center field. Adam Jones going back onto the track at the wall, and it's off the wall. From first base, Nava's going to try and score. He will. And the game is tied 1-1. A big 2-out RBI double for Jared Saltalamacchia, and we're all tied at 1.
Well, it was a breaking ball, but it was not in the dirt. It was down in the zone, and Saltalamacchia goes down about shin high to lift this ball off the wall. He's got that big uppercut swing, and he can take a pitch like that and drive the ball a long way. Nava coming around the score. Game tied at 1.
So 2 down in the inning. Saltalamacchia in scoring position, and the Red Sox debut for Stephen Drew. And Drew takes strike 1. Activated from the 7-day concussion DL today. Last year between Arizona and Oakland, 79 total games, a .223 average. Last year finishing the year in the postseason with the Oakland A's, losing in the American League Division Series to the Tigers. Lifts a fly ball now to deep left center field. Nate McLeod and Jones are back, and it is going to be caught at the wall by Nate McLeod to end the inning. Saltalamacchia drives in the game tying run. We play 2. Game at Fenway Park is a perfect place for your next outing. Call 617-226-6835 to plan the perfect trip today. Well, a wet, rainy night here at Fenway Park on the cool side as we get it started tonight and venture into the 3rd inning with a game tied 1-1 now. Red Sox tying it on RBI double by Jared Saltalamacchia. Nolan Reimold, the DH, batting out of the number 9 spot. Takes ball 1. Ryan Dempster has now retired 6 Orioles in a row. and has 3 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. Remold off to a 4 for 17 start at 235. Alfredo Aceves going to get the start tomorrow night. Final game of the series. Red Sox and Orioles. Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. Aceves, who all along has wanted to be a starter. Last year, this year, and spring training, and certainly John Farrell talking a little bit about that. It's good to have a guy like that you know can slide into a spot start, and Alfredo's going to do exactly that in the absence of Lackey, as this one is fouled back to the screen. Still 2-2.
It's funny today, Farrell talking about Aceves said, you know, all spring training he wanted to be a starter, and he says, and since the season started, he's wanted to be a starter. They had 5, but maybe Alfredo wanted to be 6, you know. But he will get the start tomorrow night against Baltimore.
Popped up. Saltalamacchia gets rid of the mask. Down from first is Napoli, but it'll be Saltalamacchia makes the catch for the first out here of the 3rd inning. Caught it in fair ground. So 1 out in the inning, and the top of the order, Nate McLeod coming up. Second time through now for Ryan Dempster. Well, David Ortiz going to start a rehab with the Pawtucket Red Sox tomorrow night, and John Farrell saying not sure how many at bats David will need, somewhere between 20 and 30 at bats, most likely before he returns, but it sounds like things are going well on that front.
Maybe if he goes 5 for 5 in the first game, we'll see him in a couple of days.
1 pitch on the ground, right side. Pedroia to his left. And 2 down in the inning. Well, Ryan Dempster getting the start tonight. Tell us more, Jenny.
That's right, Don. And we'd like our fans at home to get to know these players a little bit better. So we asked Ryan some questions, and here are his answers. We asked him his favorite hobby. It's golf and hockey. He has a charity. It's the Dempster Family Foundation, and it assists critically ill children. And this might be my favorite one. If he wasn't a baseball player, he said he would be a shepherd in Scotland.
That's different.
Yeah. You buy that?
People have different things that they'd like to be if they could imagine themselves doing it. I mean, his favorite vacation spot is Mexico. Favorite road city is Chicago. Of course, he played there. Most memorable career moment to date, 2008 All-Star game. He pitched in that game, 1 inning, 3 strikeouts. That was the 15-inning game the American League won. Terry Francona was the manager. Away from the field activity, his favorite going to the movies. And his idol is Nolan Ryan. What he does not like, fears spiders.
Kind of like you.
I don't like spiders. I don't like snakes. I don't like spiders. I don't like lizards. Alligators. Monitor lizards.
It's a lot of things you don't like. And a lot of those things are in Florida.
Yes.
You come scared to games every day.
They spent 2 months there as a ground ball back to Dempster. And he fires to first for the out that ends the inning. 9 in a row retired by Ryan Dempster. 2.5 in the books. Last half of the third inning back at Fenway Park as Jackie Bradley Jr. leads it off for the Sox, and they take strike one. He was not in the starting lineup on Monday in the home opener. We're back in there again tonight. He is 3 for 21 to begin his major league career at 143. And down to the count 0-2.
Now let's see right now. No balls, 2 strikes. If they go up and in with the fastball, that's what teams were doing. Toronto especially against Bradley Jr. Inside, but not up. It was down that time.
A little higher in, 2-2. And Jake Arrieta giving up a run in the second inning after he retired the first 5 Red Sox in a row tonight. Walk to Nava, which became costly. That turned into a run. That just misses. Full count.
Looked like it was right at the top of the strike zone, but Bradley gets the advantage of the call that time.
Ball 4, and Jackie Bradley Jr. takes the walk. Team leading 6th walk of the year. Gulf Oil is proud to be the official electricity provider of the Boston Red Sox. Jackie Bradley Jr. with a walk, second walk given up by Arrieta in the game, and Jacoby Ellsbury coming up, second time through now for the Red Sox against Arrieta. Ellsbury grounded out to first base in the first inning. Chris Davis, as he did on Monday, kind of standing in front of the runner, not necessarily standing on the bag, still holding the runner on, but in a better position to field where he is, but he can certainly get back if he needs to.
Sure, just as effective as holding him on the bag.
This is down the left field line. McLeod on the run, will dive, not get it. It's headed to the corner. Jackie Bradley Jr. from first base will score easily. Ellsbury is headed for third. Took a very long time for McLeod to get it out. And standing at third base is Ellsbury as the Red Sox take a 2-1 lead. Ellsbury atoning for the error in the first inning.
That ball just kept slicing away from McLeod out there in left field, and you could really see that he was going to have a problem making a play on this. Look at the slice on that. He dives for it, gets by him. Once that happens, Jackie Bradley Jr. can score all the way from first base. And Ellsbury easily in the third with a triple. Took a long time to come out of that corner down at the 310.
So his second triple of the season for Ellsbury. Drives in a run, picks up his 8th RBI. Now Shane Victorino will take ball 1. Red Sox trail 1-0, have a 2-1 lead. Still nobody out. They're in the bottom of the third inning. Snap throw to third, and Ellsbury just back. Wieters gunned it down there and almost nabbed him.
Yeah, that wide open space. Nobody in the right-handed batter's box. A prearranged play. You can see Machado going over in that direction as the pitch was going toward home plate. So the signal between the third baseman and catcher for the pickoff at third base.
Arrieta operating at 94 miles an hour. Dustin Pedroia on deck. Red Sox batting here in the third. Victorino 1 for 4 in the game on Monday. 2-2 is out to left. Nate McLeod going over and back to make the catch. Ellsbury will tag and score. The Red Sox third run of the night, and Boston takes a 3-1 lead. Sac fly for Shane Victorino, who picks up his 5th RBI.
The little things, you know, making sure with the man at third base that you can get a ball that you can lift in the outfield. As a matter of fact, get a ball you can just make contact on because the infield's back. That time he gets one deep enough to the outfield that easily scores Ellsbury. So Victorino picks up his 5th RBI of the season.
One down, Dustin Pedroia, the batter, and that'll miss on the breaking ball for ball 1. Dustin struck out looking in the first inning. Only strikeout so far tonight for Arrieta. Well, it is raining here tonight. It is also raining in Cleveland, where the Yankees and Indians are delayed by rain. Red Sox next road trip will be to Cleveland next week after the 4-game wraparound series against the Tampa Bay Rays this weekend.
Yeah, just a brief little 3-day trip to Cleveland and back home.
Here's ball 4 on 4 pitches. Pedroia takes the 3rd walk given up by Arrieta tonight. And Rick Adair, the pitching coach, will make his way out. Two walks coming in this inning for Arrieta. Well, the Sox and Bruins both in action tomorrow night. You can watch the Sox wrap up this series against the O's here on NESN and follow the Bruins Islanders game on NESN Plus channels beginning at 6:30. To find your NESN Plus channel, visit NESN.com/NESN Plus. The Bruins halfway through the first period tonight against the Devils are up 3-0.
Already 3-0?
It's already 3-0. One down in the 3rd inning. Runner at first, and Mike Napoli looks at ball 1. Next guy to center field in the 2nd inning. Napoli last year 24 home runs in 108 games for the Texas Rangers. His last year in Texas, was an all-star for the first time last year. He's had at least 24 home runs in each of the last 3 seasons, including 30 home runs, a career high in 2011. That is 7 straight balls thrown by Arrieta. Ball 4, and the Red Sox just picked up their 4th walk, 3rd of this inning. Arrieta all of a sudden having trouble finding the strike zone. 22 balls, 24 strikes for Arrieta, who's thrown 46 pitches to this point, and has created his own jam now here in the 3rd inning after giving up 2 runs in this inning. Will Middlebrooks with a chance to do some damage. Your Eastern Mass Lexus dealers bring you the pitching line for Jake Arrieta. 2 1/3, 2 hits, 3 runs so far. Mentioned the walks and 1 strikeout. Middlebrooks on the ground, right side. Flaherty will go to second for 1, on to first for 2. Orioles able to turn it, much needed for Arrieta. He walks 3 in the inning and gives up 2 runs. Red Sox take a 3-1 lead. Fenway Park is brought to you by Eastern Bank. Put your family first, your job first, even your team first. Isn't it time someone put you first? Eastern Bank does just that with products like Eastern Free Checking. Here, you're first, Eastern Bank. Nick Markakis will lead it off here for the Orioles in the 4th inning. Markakis, Jones, and Davis. As the Orioles now trail by 2 as they come to bat. 9 in a row. Retired by Dempster, and a fly ball to deep right field. Shane Victorino going back, and that ball is into the pen. A home run. Nick Markakis going deep for the first time this year. And it's a 1-run game. 3-2 now. Red Sox on top.
Well, Markakis involved in both runs. Won a ground ball to first base to get a run home. And now the home run. Looks like a slider, a cut fastball that time from Dempster, and Markakis into the Red Sox bullpen for the home run.
It's the 9th career home run against the Red Sox for Markakis. The 6th that has come right here at Fenway Park. Leads off the top of the 4th inning, and here is Adam Jones. He looks at strike 1. Jones struck out swinging in the 1st inning. Total of 3 strikeouts on the night for Ryan Dempster. Elevates that time, and it's 0-2. Dempster last year allowed 19 home runs, 9 as a member of the Cubs and 10 in a Texas Rangers uniform. Nick Markakis takes him deep here to begin the 4th inning.
A little chillier tonight here at Fenway than on opening day, but still not as bad as it was in New York for those first couple of night games that we had.
Raining on again, off again tonight so far. Right now kind of lightly misting at the park. That is just outside, framed by Saltalamacchia. Full count here. Dempster has walked 1 and struck out 3. One of those strikeouts was Jones back in the 1st inning, with Chris Davis waiting on deck. Line to center and in for a base hit for Adam Jones. It's the Orioles' 3rd hit. Check that, Orioles' 2nd hit of the night. Stay with NESN after tonight's game for a complete recap of the Sox home opener at Fenway Park. WB Mason Extra Innings Live. Tom Caron will anchor NESN's breakdown of tonight's action, including clubhouse reaction, interviews, and John Farrell's post-game press conference. WB Mason Extra Innings Live. Can't go wrong when you buy right at WB Mason. So Jones at first, a run in for the Orioles here in the inning, and Chris Davis struck out looking in the 1st inning. This one cranked foul.
Now the Red Sox do go into the shift with Davis at the plate, and you'll notice to keep the combination of Drew and Pedroia together around the bag. In double play situations, they're not going to mess with that combination. They will keep Pedroia near second base, so if they have to turn a double play, they've got 2 guys that are used to doing that.
A 1-pitch inside. Saltalamacchia is going to fire down to first, but had the baseball slip out of his hand. high fly ball down the right field line, and that ball will go foul. Happy member of Red Sox Nation right there. This will bounce in and away from Saltalamacchia, so Jones to second base. Likely a wild pitch here for Dempster, and the tying run in scoring position.
Yeah, it goes to the slider down and in and deflects right off Saltalamacchia. Jones, with a good secondary lead at first base, will just easily get into scoring position. That ball bounced up, hit Saltalamacchia, looked around the elbow area.
Jones now the lead off second base with nobody out. Chris Davis with a count of 2-2. Trying to pick up that inside corner, and back-to-back full counts now. Now Wieters on deck. Still nobody out in the Orioles' fourth inning. Swing and a miss, and he strikes out Chris Davis. Second time he's down by way of the K tonight. 4 strikeouts for Ryan Dempster.
He's had a couple of strikeouts tonight on that split-fingered fastball. It's a splitter again right here. Doing the honors. Just get the strikeout against Davis. He got Jones on a splitter earlier in the ballgame. Amica Insurance is the proud sponsor of the Amica Pitch Zone.
Matt Wieters grounded out to the right side in the second inning. 4-1 on the putout, as actually 3-1 on the putout as Napoli knocked it down and still had time to get him at first base with Dempster covering the bag. This is line to left, and that's in for a base hit. Adam Jones going to be stopped at third. A bobble, though, by Jackie Bradley Jr., and a run will score as a result to tie the game. Stopping at third base was Adam Jones, but Bradley Jr. drops the baseball out there, and then Jones just keeps on going. And this game is now tied 3-3, and error charge to Bradley Jr.
Yeah, they were not going to score Adam Jones. They held him up as soon as they see the bobble. In comes Jones from second base, actually from third base, and Bradley has to go to second base to try to keep the double play in order. So a couple of errors in this game for the Red Sox tonight.
One by Jacoby Ellsbury now, one by Jackie Bradley Jr. Matt Wieters at first base with one out in the inning, and here's J.J. Hardy. Hardy grounded out to the shortstop Stephen Drew in the second inning.
You know, Don, J.J. Hardy has always been one of my favorite shortstops in the American League. He did a very nice job turning over a double play earlier in this ball game. He had Napoli coming in on him to try to break it up, but Hardy was able to complete the double play, get out of the way, and very solid shortstop.
That has been a very good addition for the Orioles. Certainly a big part of their team last year. 1-1 pitch and a snap throw to first, and Wieters able to get back. Saltalamacchia gunning it down there.
It's a double play we were talking about earlier, and watch Hardy at shortstop. Now Napoli, big guy coming in, gets a piece of his legs, but is still able to maintain balance and get that throw and get enough on it to first base to get the double play. Good effort by Napoli, good effort by Hardy.
And the Orioles getting to Dempster here in the 4th inning. A home run by Markakis to start the inning. A single for Jones. He scores on the error. Left field for Jackie Bradley Jr. Strikeout, then a single for Wieters. And Wieters at first base. The 3-1. Ball 4. And there's the second walk given up by Dempster. Juan Nieves coming out for the first time tonight. Red Sox pitching coach to check in on Ryan Dempster. MLB.com at bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Red Sox baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or visit redsox.com for details. One out in the inning. Runners at first and second. And Ryan Dempster in his first outing in Red Sox uniform at Fenway Park. First outing, of course, coming on the road against New York, and tonight with a chance to start at Fenway. And had a 3-1 lead coming into the inning, but the Orioles have tied it up, and now a strike to Ryan Flaherty.
Flaherty 0 for his last 15. Faking a bunt on that first pitch.
In there for strike 2. Flaherty making regular season starts last year at second base, third base, left field, and right field. Very versatile player for Buck Showalter, the Portland, Maine native. Swing and a miss, and he strikes out. It's 5 Ks for Dempster. And out number 2 at the top of the 4th inning.
And second time he struck out Flaherty tonight. This time he goes with the slider down and in to pick up the strikeout. So a big out there for Dempster with a man in scoring position.
Nolan Reimold, number 9 man for the Orioles, the DH. Popped out to the catcher Jared Saltalamacchia in the 3rd inning. Rain coming down pretty hard again here at Fenway Park. On again, off again. Going around is Reimold, 0-2.
Little buckle right there in the knees and the backside as he takes a look at that slider from Dempster. Seems like it's hotter right now than it's been all night, Don.
I would agree. There's a chopper left side. Drew will go against the grain with a nice play. Throw to second base to force out J.J. Hardy and to end the inning. But the Orioles get a pair of runs and tie the game after 3.5. Is brought to you in part by Eastern Bank. You always put others first. Wouldn't it be nice if your bank did the same thing? With products that make life easier and a commitment to helping those in need. Here, you're first. Eastern Bank. Rain peltering down here, and the umpiring crew getting the very latest. Jim Joyce, the crew chief here for the umpires. What is coming our way right now? We know that what is here is pretty hard.
Yeah, what is coming our way right now is rain. And about as hot as it's rained all night long.
Now Jake Arrieta back on the mound in a tie game. Orioles getting 2 back in the top half of this inning. Daniel Nava, Jared Saltalamacchia, and Stephen Drew. 6, 7, and 8 scheduled for the Red Sox here in the home half of the 4th. There's strike 1 over the inside corner. Nava walked in the second inning and scored the Red Sox first run on an RBI double by Jared Saltalamacchia. In there for strike 2, 1 and 2. Arrieta had some wildness in the 3rd inning. He walked 3 batters in 1 inning and 4 in the last 2. Two and 2 to Nava.
I don't know who's seen the most pitches so far this season for the Red Sox, but I would have to guess Nava would be up in that category.
He's had some lengthy at bats, very patient at bats. And that one almost grabbed the corner. Could have gone either way, and it's a full count now, 3 and 2.
Yeah, that ball up and in on the inside part of the plate, and Nava bending back, making it look worse than what it actually was.
Nava fouls it off himself and stays alive. To left field, McLeod is there, and he makes the catch in the backhand for the first out of the inning. There's a new player in the game, the Hood Harvey Bar. Delicious Hood ice cream dipped in thick, rich chocolate. Try all 4 flavors today.
Any day is a good day for ice cream.
Since you're enjoying some right now. One out here in the 4th inning. Jared Saltalamacchia, the batter, and a liner to right. Markakis, he misjudged that ball. Gets up over his head into the wall. He started in and then has to go back and can't make the catch. It was a bullet, and sometimes those balls hit right at you are the toughest to judge, and he misjudged that.
Oh, exactly right, Don. This ball was a rocket, and you see Markakis coming in about 2.5 steps. And that was going to cost him because that ball was not in the air very long. It was on a line and gets up over his head. So Saltalamacchia picks up his 2nd double of the night. 2nd time he's hit the ball hard. Once to the opposite field, this time pulling it.
One out and a runner at second for Stephen Drew in his 2nd at bat in a Red Sox uniform. Steven flied out to left field first time up, took it to the warning track, and in front of the wall, Nate McLouth made the catch in front of the scoreboard out there and left. As Drew takes a pitch inside for ball one.
Don, I was telling before that Stephen Drew was so thankful about the new MLB mandated helmets that they're making him wear, and I got some tweets about it, so I wanted to tell the fans at home all the players are mandated to wear this helmet. It's 300% stiffer, 130% stronger, and they're made of a carbon fiber shell. It protects against balls thrown 100 miles per hour compared to just 68 miles per hour, which they were last year.
Well, quite a bit different, and certainly thankful that he had that on at Hammond Stadium when hit with the pitch in the bill of the helmet. Still caused a concussion. And a look at the new helmets.
We saw some of the players wearing those a year ago, but as Jenny mentioned, now mandated across Major League Baseball, and all for the better.
2 down. Saltalamacchia 90 feet away, and Jackie Bradley Jr. walked and scored in the 3rd inning. Gets his second look at Jake Arrieta. It's coming down at a pretty good clip now. A roller down the first baseline. Arrieta will flip to first for the out that ends the inning. Red Sox leave Saltalamacchia at 3rd base. We head for the 5th at rainy Fenway, all tied. Insurance lets us take a look at the road ahead for the Red Sox, and tomorrow night final game of the series between the Red Sox and the Orioles. First look this season, the Red Sox will have Chris Tillman on the mound, as last time out against Minnesota 3 2/3 roughed up, 7 hits and 5 runs, and sliding into John Lackey's spot, Alfredo Aceves will get the start tomorrow night in his career 5-2 with a 2.31 earned run average in 25 games against Baltimore. It is raining as hard as it has all night, and we play into the 5th inning. Jim Joyce looking to continue on here at the moment. Top of the Orioles order, Nate McLouth leading it off, and he takes strike 1. McLouth has walked and scored and grounded out. Swing and a miss, and it's quickly 0-2. Well, the grounds crew is ready to go should they be called upon. Dealing with the elements and getting instructions as we speak.
Pull, then push.
0-2 grounded foul. You ever pulled tarp before?
No, you have in the minor leagues, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I got trapped underneath the tarp for a long time.
somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Everybody runs at once, and if you trip and fall, end up underneath it, nobody really knows because they just keep going.
You're a goner.
You're done. The 0-2 pitch will miss outside. And then you're under there, and you're thinking, it's like when you get disoriented in a big wave.
Yeah.
You don't know which way's up. Same thing. I started to panic. I went into panic.
Oh,
mode.
I could imagine. Yeah. I would want to be under that top.
Swing and a miss. There's strikeout number 6 for Ryan Dempster.
Now, the split has been a very good pitch for Dempster tonight. He goes with it again, and this time away, as you can see right there, from McLeod to pick up the strikeout.
Well, Nesson Daily brings you everything you need to know about the day in sports tonight at 10 p.m. There'll be plenty to break down tonight as the Sox, Bruins, and Celtics all in action. Nesson Daily tonight at 10 p.m. Manny Machado batting with 1 down in the inning. Machado reached on the 2-base error committed by Jacoby Ellsbury in the first inning. A little miscommunication between Ellsbury and Victorino, and the baseball fell on the grass out in right center. Two and two. It's Machado now. Markakis waiting on deck. He's got a home run tonight. Swing and a miss, and Dempster with back-to-back strikeouts here in the 5th inning. 7 now in all.
Slider this time from Dempster out of the strike zone. Everything away from Machado in that at bat, including that 5th pitch was way down and away. And Machado cannot stay off it. So back-to-back strikeouts here in the 5th.
Well, the Orioles, of course, wearing the number 4 for Hall of Fame manager Earl Weaver, who passed away just before the Orioles broke for spring training on a Orioles cruise this past offseason. And having been on a few with Earl, the Red Sox and Orioles have shared the cruise for a number of years now, and Earl has always been on it. And certainly Orioles fans will never forget Earl Weaver. There's a ground ball to first that ends the inning. 4.5 done from Fenway, all tied at 3. Red Sox home game. Duncan hosts a nonprofit children's organization. Thousands of kids have had the chance to catch a Red Sox home game thanks to Dunkin' Donuts. Tonight we welcome the boys and girls of Woburn to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts, committed to the community. What a good time out there tonight despite the conditions in tonight's game as the rain coming down now hard, and Jim Joyce has spent a good amount of time with the grounds crew in between innings, and get the feeling they are not far from pulling this tarp the way things are coming down right now.
I would have to agree with you, Don.
Top of the order, Jacoby Ellsbury to lead it off, then Shane Victorino and Dustin Pedroia. Ellsbury is grounded out and tripled, driven in a run, picking up his 8th RBI of the season.
The water now is starting to settle on the infield.
Pitch is high and it's 2-0.
And usually when the infield starts taking a beating like that and the rain continues as hard as it is, it's not long before you see the top.
Down and in for ball 3. Already 4 walks on the night allowed by Arrieta. 3 coming in the same inning. There's a strike, 3-1. On the ground right side, it is Davis, the first baseman, who takes it to the bag and retires Jacoby Ellsbury. And a lot of baseball here in April, Jenny, in the month of April for the Red Sox at home.
That's right, Don. And Sox fans can use their mobile device and social media to scan the code that is on the TV screen right now, and that'll give you the entire Red Sox schedule coming up. So the Red Sox and Nesson have made it easier to figure out where the Sox will be all season long.
Well, we know the Tampa Bay Rays are coming in here for the next 4 after tomorrow night's finale with the Orioles.
Yeah, you can clearly see that in the middle section right there of the schedule. You don't even really have to scan it. It's coming up. 4 games against Tampa.
Shane Victorino pops it up. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, to the short lawn and left, dealing with the raindrops as he makes the catch for the second out of the inning. So 4 in a row now retired by Arrieta. And Dustin Pedroia, the batter. Pedroia struck out in the first inning, walked in the third. His 3rd plate appearance of the night. Yeah, that water is starting to gather. See there, it's the shortstop spot between 2nd and 3rd. First standing water that we can see.
Yeah, and that's after treatment that they put on there between innings. So the intensity of this rain right now is not allowing the treatment to work very long.
Line foul. And Pedroia down 0-2. In there for strike 3. Second time Pedroia struck out looking on the night. It is the 2nd strikeout for Arrieta. Game tied 3-3. Here comes the tarp. Game tied 3-3 and has been stopped here at the end of 5 innings. We're getting ready for the top of the 6th inning, and they decided to pull the tarp as Jim Joyce waited for the Red Sox to get their at bat there in the bottom of the 5th inning. Had the Red Sox scored, it would have been made an official game at that point, but at the moment the game tied 3-3, so we are through 5 innings in this contest, but tied up at the moment, and rain coming down hard as it has now for the last half an hour. LL Bean is proud to keep the Red Sox infield dry during this rain delay, and for over 100 years, LL Bean has been proud to help you and your family enjoy the outdoors with trusted gear that's 100% guaranteed and ship free with no minimum order. Visit llbean.com or a store near you. LL Bean, proud partners with the Boston Red Sox. Well, the Red Sox here tonight had a 3-1 advantage at one point, but the Orioles come back and tie it up 3-3. Ryan Dempster with 7 strikeouts in the game. But Jerry, tonight so far miscues have been a problem for the first time this year.
And wouldn't you know it, I mean, that's one of the things we highlighted in the open, how good the defense have been for the Red Sox so far. But a couple of outfield mistakes tonight. I think one, Jacoby Ellsbury calling off Victorino, but Victorino was so close to him he couldn't really get out of his way. And then Jackie Bradley Jr. in left field trying to rush a little bit, maybe when he didn't have to, bobbles the ball, and that allowed Adam Jones, I believe, to come in and score for the Orioles. So it's the first time this year the defense has let down the Red Sox a little bit in the ball game, but still a good game, 3-3 as we wait it out.
And Ryan Dempster tonight so far throwing 69 pitches through the first 5, and I guess really depends how long this delay goes as to whether or not we'll see him back.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, they tried to wait as long as they possibly could to put the top on the field. I don't know what the extended forecast is, but it looks like the rain could be around for a while. So if it is around for a while, I'm sure they wouldn't risk sending Dempster back out there after an extended delay this early in the season.
Well, we are in the midst of a rain delay from Fenway Park as the Red Sox and Orioles are tied up 3-3. We now send it to Tom Caron. Putting it away, always a good sign here at Fenway Park. The rain subsiding here for the moment as it was coming down very hard, and Jerry was clear that they want to get through that 5th inning, give the Red Sox a chance to jump on top and make it an official game here tonight. The umpires waited as long as they could.
Actually, it stopped a lot quicker than I thought it was going to. It was really raining hard here at Fenway Park. It may cost Dempster the ball game right now as Yuri Hara is starting to loosen up in the Red Sox bullpen. For Boston, he may be coming into the game when we come back because it has been an extended delay. You've already got the 5 out of Dempster in this ball game, and there you can see Yuri Hara getting loose in the Red Sox bullpen. So when we return to action, which should not be too far away, looks like he may be the Red Sox pitcher.
So tonight for Ryan Dempster, the Red Sox and Baltimore Orioles tied up here 3-3. Let's take a look at how the runs scored in the game tonight. Well, the Orioles on something we've not seen, an error charged to a Red Sox player, and Jacoby Ellsbury had some miscommunication with Victorino, ends up dropping the ball out there in right center. It would lead to this as Nick Markakis on a ground out. It would score. Nate McLeod from the Orioles jumped on top 1-0. Red Sox would tie the score with Daniel Nava at first base, a double off the wall for Jared Saltalamacchia. Tie the game up at 1 aside as Nava would come around and score to tie the game. The Red Sox would move on top by 2 runs in the 3rd inning as Arrieta would walk 3 in the inning. This would get away from Nate McLeod on a dive as Ellsbury ends up at 3rd base. Jackie Bradley Jr. scores, and the Red Sox pulled ahead 2-1. A sac fly off the bat of Shane Victorino would score Ellsbury and put the Red Sox on top 3-1. Then a home run by Nick Markakis to begin things in the 4th inning into the bullpen. That was after Ryan Dempster had retired 8 Orioles in a row. He would then give up a base hit to Adam Jones, who would score later on as a base hit, and he would stop. Jones would at 3rd, but an error charged by Jackie Bradley Jr. drops a baseball out there in left center field, allows Jones to score. So 2 miscues in the game tonight for the Red Sox. And that's how the runs have scored here tonight. Game tied 3-3 is when we resume. It'll be the top half of the 6th inning, and it'll be Adam Jones, Chris Davis, and Matt Wieters expected to bat here in the 6th. And it does appear Ryan Dempster is not going to be coming back. His pitch count on the night was 93 pitches anyway, so that's pretty high for 5 innings of work. And it does appear that he will be done. Koji Uehara warming in the bullpen. Red Sox out there stretching as they go to work on the field after they have pulled the tarp. Well, the grounds crew are who have gone the extra mile tonight, and their efforts are recognized by Firestone, who know what it's like to help drivers go that extra mile. As they were sitting out there for a long time in the rain before pulling that tarp, and now going to work on the infield all the way around and all the drying agent, take care of the standing water. And well, this field drains so well after they replaced it a couple of years ago, and it is really drained very well now. No standing water anywhere, and they're just going to work on the mound area and around the infield. Well, tonight's game summary is brought to you by Xfinity from Comcast. Arrieta, 5 innings, 3 hits, and 4 walks. Nick Markakis' home run you saw, his first of the year. Ryan Dempster's done after 5 innings, an earned run and 7 strikeouts in his outing of the game tonight. Throws 93 pitches. Saltalamacchia 2 for 2 with 2 doubles. One off the wall and left that drove in a run, and the other one a line drive shot to right field over the head of Nick Markakis. Jacoby Ellsbury's got a triple in this game, and the Red Sox and Orioles tied 3-3. Umpires are making their way back out onto the field now, led by the crew chief Jim Joyce. And they will survey the situation here as to how the field is. They're hoping to get back underway here by about 9:20, and we are coming up on that right now. There are still several players in the outfield stretching it out, and Koji Uehara is warming up in the pen. The Orioles do not have anybody warming up currently in their bullpen. Their starter, Jake Arrieta, has only thrown 69 pitches through the first 5.
And again, it was not that long of a rain delay, so it's quite possible he may come back into this ball game. As you mentioned, the pitch count, Don, not very high for Arrieta at all. So we should be getting going very soon. Uehara does not take a long time to get ready. He's accustomed to coming out of the bullpen on short notice.
Well, to welcome fans back to Fenway Park, kids 12 and under eat free, and KM Fenway Franks are 2 for 1 all April long. With 17 home games to choose from, there's a game for everyone. Visit redsox.com/tickets to choose your game today. And fans making their way back out from underneath the overhang and the concourse areas to the seating areas where the rain has completely stopped here at the moment. There is action in the Orioles pen right now, as Tommy Hunter is warming in the pen for the Orioles. So he has just now gotten up. His team will be batting, so perhaps their starter is gone as well. Jake Arrieta going the first 5 and 69 pitches. Well, it's time now to take a look at our best AT&T tweets of the night, sent in by you, the fans. I put Alfredo Aceves in the 5th starter spot and keep Lester, Buchholz, Dempster, and DeBront in the same spots. It'll be De La Rosa, and the guy throws 100 miles an hour, as we saw in spring training. Sox starters start knuckleballer Stephen Wright. We invite the comedian Stephen Wright to the booth. It'll be a pretty good night all the way around. So thank you for your tweets tonight as the Red Sox have taken the field. Koji Uehara has made his way in here from the bullpen to take over for Ryan Dempster, who goes the first 5 innings tonight. It's been a pretty good start in a Red Sox uniform for Koji Uehara. 2 appearances, 14 pitches. He's not given up a run. He's worked 2 innings and struck out 2 batters, and nobody's been able to get hit off him. He's retired everybody that he has faced so far with the Red Sox, and he will take over for the 6th inning. Tonight's call to the bullpen is brought to you on Nesson by your New England Ford dealers. So again, Dempster, 5 innings pitched in tonight's game. He gives up 3 hits and 3 runs. He would walk 2 and strike out 7. And Koji Uehara now into the game for Boston, and he'll be dealing with 4, 5, and 6 in the Orioles batting order here in the top half of the 6th inning.
And again, you know, it's cool here at Fenway, but not cold, even with the rain coming down. And the rain now passed. It's a very cool night, but not uncomfortably cold like we had in New York for the first couple of games of the season, first couple of night games of the season. A lot of dancing going on right now, Don. Everywhere. They're dancing everywhere.
The ace ticket pitching line for Ryan Dempster. 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs. 1 run is earned, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Ends up throwing 93 pitches.
This guy's fired up. That rain delay, that got him going. He wants some baseball. He wants some outs. And we want some action. We want the game to start, because we're about all talked out.
Adam Jones is ready to go as he stands in on the right side, and Koji Uehara ready to work. Jones, Davis, and Wieters here in the top half of the 6th inning. Adam Jones struck out in the 1st inning, singled, and scored in the 4th inning. And swinging a foul ball. Well, to say that Uehara has been fired up after his outings is an understatement.
Yeah, he is really, he really gets pumped up after he gets his job done heading into the Red Sox dugout.
No 1-1 the count to Jones. And a swing and a miss. That one by him, and it's 0-2.
That fastball only registered at 89 miles an hour, but it looked a lot harder than that.
First one was at 90. Up and away, and it's 1-2. Yankees and Indians ended up being postponed tonight in Cleveland. No makeup date has been announced as Jones strikes out. That's 8 strikeouts for Red Sox pitching tonight, and Koji Uehara going up top to get that on the fastball. Well, Uehara making his 3rd appearance, his first 2. Very excited. First one was just 5 pitches, and he came to the dugout fired up as he did in Toronto. It was a 9-pitch effort that time for Uehara. In there for strike 2, Chris Davis. Strike 2. Red Sox into that shift again with Dustin Pedroia in short right field. Little Brooks on the right side of the infield, the second base spot. Only Stephen Drew on the left side. He's swung way over to second base. Whole left side virtually open as Davis takes a pitch up and away. Well, he was involved in a trade for Koji Uehara with the Texas Rangers. And Tommy Hunter, who is in the pen. This one grounded back to Uehara. He will fire to first base, and there are 2 outs in the inning.
Good split-fingered fastball by Uehara there to pick up that little tap back to the mound. That ball sinking down in the strike zone, and he's a little concerned about maybe a little bit of a wet grass out there. He's very attentive in throwing that ball to first base. Sometimes you pick up a wet ball and it just flies out of your hand.
Leaders taking a hack at the first pitch and fouling it back.
I couldn't come up with a word. I was struggling.
There was a delay. I was worried about it.
Yeah, I was. And I don't even think attentive was the right one.
Did you think tentative maybe the way he went after that a little bit? Was that what you were?
No, it was not tentative. He was.
Because I didn't think attentive really worked in that sentence.
It didn't. It's no question it didn't work.
Is he cautiously optimistic that he can make the throw?
He was very cautious in throwing the ball to first base because of the possible wet infield. That's a better way of putting it.
Inside to Wieters, 2-1. Wieters is grounded out to first and single. He's got one of the 3 hits Baltimore has in this game. Popped up left side of the infield. Stephen Drew ducks back to the outfield grass and makes the catch that ends the inning. Ends up being a 1-2-3 for Uehara. 3-3 game. Coach Uehara. This time it took him 12 pitches, but still had a 1-2-3 inning of relief here in the 6th inning, coming off fired up as usual, and this game remains tied 3-3. Get that final pop out to Stephen Drew, and then into the dugout he goes.
So you got to be careful in that dugout, the way he's slapping hands and stuff. I mean, you could easily jam a finger. So if it was me, when he comes in, I would stay clear of him for a while, then go over and shake his hand.
Kind of the delayed congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With more, here's Jenny.
Well, Don, in Toronto, John Farrell said that Uehara is going to be a one-inning guy. He said the urge or the tendency is going to call his name all the time. He said he did pitch back-to-back days a few times last year, and they have to consider that, not taking anything away from him, but he's had a long career, a very successful one, but the Red Sox are going to manage the physical side of that.
Well, last year, 37 appearances, and 6 were more than an inning, just 6. So he is used to being a one-inning guy. As Mike Napoli bats here. Napoli is fly to center and walked. Tommy Hunter into the game here in the 6th inning. This one grounded foul as Hunter takes over for Jake Arrieta. Went the first 5 innings. Went to a starter last year, moved to the bullpen. Now appears in his 3rd game of the season for the Orioles. 3.38 earned run average. When it's hitting at 111. 0-2 is low and away. Napoli, Middlebrooks, and Nava expected here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Here's Will Middlebrooks waiting on deck, an 0 for 2 night to this point for Will. Full count.
Everything inside, and it's at bat too to Napoli, with the exception of that 3rd pitch of the at bat, which was away to Zawa. Loosening in the Red Sox bullpen.
Did he go? Rung up by the home plate umpire. Didn't even check. He made the decision himself.
Napoli trying to hold up the control ahead of the bat, but could not, and no real argument from Napoli as he makes his way back to the dugout.
Covidien, delivering innovative healthcare products across the globe, is a proud sponsor of the Red Sox Foundation. Fouled off to the right by Middlebrooks. Fly to center and bounced into a 4-6-3 double play. He's 0 for 2. Trying to hold up and does. Count evens at 1-1. Red Sox coming into tonight's action 5-2 on the season after their first 7 games of the year. Orioles are 3-4. One game left in this series. Baltimore will head to New York to take on the Yankees. Red Sox will stay at home and welcome the Tampa Bay Rays for a 4-game series beginning Friday night. Popped up, foul ground, but this will get back into the seats.
Don, you were talking about the Red Sox heading to Cleveland on the next trip, and they of course were rained out tonight against the Yankees. And did you see the story where Terry Francona got lost going through the park? How could he get lost?
He lives 2 blocks from the stadium.
You could see the stadium from your house.
2 blocks. I'm not surprised. I mean, are you? Really? You know him.
I read that. I was cracking up this morning.
He had like his normal media thing before the game, and he was explaining what happened. And I mean, I could totally see it happening.
Yeah. I mean, how did
blocks.
it happen?
He just got lost.
I mean, you can't miss the ballpark.
I know. Tito did. I did see a picture of the scooter that he is now. I think part of the problem is the scooter. He's so worried about the scooter that he's lost like his bearings for where he is and where the stadium might be.
Yeah. I mean, he used to complain about Boston traffic, and he can't even get to the ballpark 2 blocks living from it.
2-2 is tapped foul. Can you imagine if Tito wasn't a baseball manager or a broadcaster in baseball, was something else? What would you imagine him doing?
Texting you every night, telling you how bad you are.
That's one thing. I am glad that he is no longer a broadcaster, because he became a TV genius in a hurry.
Yeah.
And now you go back to managing games and being busy every night and leaving me alone. 2-2 pitch is popped up. Back of first, foul ground. Flaherty coming over. Nobody's going to get it. Back into the stands. Chris Davis was there as well.
Chris Davis running into the top, and Flaherty going around the top, but neither guy could get to it. So Middlebrooks will have another chance with the 2-2 count. I'll bet you get a text from Francona. Because if they're not playing, he's got to be watching.
He might be watching.
And we can't say over the air what he's going to tell you.
Two. Middlebrooks will foul it off down the right field line, out of play.
Don and Jerry, apparently he got lost 3 times, and an Indians employee had to come pick him up in a golf cart and get him to the stadium.
Again, not surprised. Swing and a miss. Middlebrooks strikes out. Back-to-back Ks for Hunter. 11 pitch at bat. Middlebrooks put on a good battle, but he's out number 2.
Yeah, chases the high fastball this time. A lot of pitches in that at bat. The 11th pitch of the at bat. A fastball up and out of the strike zone, and no contact by Middlebrooks, who knew he chased a bad pitch there.
So 2 down to the inning. Daniel Nava, the batter. He walked and scored in the second. Flight out to left in the 4th inning. Jake Arrieta tonight, the Orioles starter, 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs. Walked 4 and struck out 2. He departs, not part of the decision. Be up to the bullpens now after a rain delay here tonight at Fenway Park that came just prior to the 6th inning beginning. Koji Uehara worked an inning, and now Shinichi Tozawa is ready to go for next inning, it appears. Fly ball to deep left field for Nava. That is back, and it is gone into the monster seats. Daniel Nava. 3 straight games with a home run for Nava, and the Red Sox take a 4-3 lead.
Well, Nava going in that direction the other day from the right side of the plate, this time hitting left-handed. Finds the monster seats. Elevates that fastball and gets it into, looks like, the first row of the monster seats to give the Red Sox the 1-run lead.
First time in his career he's homered in 3 straight games. And what a start to this season for Nava. 6 home runs last year. He's got 3 already this season, and they have been big. Fly ball to deep right field for Saltalamacchia. He's had 2 doubles, and now he's got a home run. Saltalamacchia with his 3rd hit of the night. Red Sox go back to back and take a 5-3 lead.
Well, it's almost like Saltalamacchia was looking for a fastball above the belt. That's where they've been going against him when they get ahead of him. This ball just about belt high, and Saltalamacchia having a great night. 2 doubles, now the home run, 2 runs batted in. John Farrell likes it. He knows he's got it. Get out of here.
The Sox now have gone deep 11 times this season, and with it, Hess donates $500 more to the pediatric trauma program at Boston Children's Hospital, bringing the season total to $5,500. Hess and Hess Express committed to helping the cause. The second time this season, the Red Sox have gone back-to-back. Now one hopper. It's picked by Flaherty, and Stephen Drew is retired to end the inning. Back-to-back go the Sox. Nava, Saltalamacchia. Red Sox lead it 5-3.
Grand Theater at Foxwoods Resort Casino, May 5th. For tickets, visit foxwoods.com.
Well, the Red Sox going back-to-back, and they've got a 5-3 lead as we head to the 7th inning. Daniel Nava and Jared Saltalamacchia combining on the home runs of Tommy Hunter. He is roughed up in the 6th inning, both solo shots, and it's after he got 2 quick strikeouts. Got Napoli and Middlebrooks to strike out, but then Nava and Saltalamacchia with the home runs prior to the ground out that ended the 6th inning. So it's on to the 7th, and Shinichi Tozawa into the game, his 4th appearance of the year, 1-0, the 3.00 earned run average. Opponent's hitting at 364 against Tozawa. Takes over for Koji Uehara, who had a 1-2-3 6th inning. J.J. Hardy takes ball 1. There's action in the Red Sox pen. The lefty Andrew Miller is up in the pen. High fly ball to left field. Jackie Bradley Jr. makes his way over and makes the catch for the first out of the 7th inning. So Hardy retired, and that'll bring up Ryan Flaherty. Still looking for his first hit of the season. He comes in at 0 for 16. Graduate of Deering High School. The Maine native takes a pitch for ball 1. Fights this one off, fouled, even the count at 1-1.
Will Middlebrooks at third base, in on the grass for Flaherty. He moves back just a couple of steps after the first strike.
Tazawa earning the win despite a blown save in his last outing on Friday night at Toronto. 1-1 is fouled off. Saltalamacchia takes the mask right off.
Salta can't even feel that tonight with the offensive night he's had. 2 doubles and a home run. Now maybe he can feel it.
In tight, stands him up. 2-2. There's action in the Orioles pen now. The left-hander Troy Patton was a big part of their success coming out of the pen last year for the O's. Foul tipped held onto by Saltalamacchia for strike 3.
Good job by Saltalamacchia. Fastball tipped by Flaherty and right into the glove of Saltalamacchia. That's after having his mask knocked off on the pitch before.
Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox, never forgets that before you're a patient, you're a person. Beth Israel Deaconess, human first. Learn more at bidmc.org/human first. 2 outs in the 7th inning. Now 10 in a row retired by Red Sox pitching. As Nolan Reimold takes a look at ball 1. Center fielder Jacoby Ellsbury a step or 2 towards right center for Reimold to go the other way. Tazawa wanted that as he falls behind now 2-0. Fly out to left to strike out. First 2 batters at Tazawa's face, but now falling behind Reimold 3-0. Taking, and he takes strike 1. Swing and a miss. Full count.
Reimold there, I thought would have been looking for a ball middle in. Instead, he chases a fastball away on the 3-1 count, and count runs full now for Tazawa.
Fouled off to the right, out of play.
Almost the identical pitch right there again to Reimold. Had to swing at it and fouls it off. Last 2 pitches in just about the same spot.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Elevated at 95 miles an hour to strike out Reimold. It's time now for an NESN Daily Update and Leah Hextall. Fun and theme parks across the Northeast. Visit fwweb.com for more about this proud sponsor of the Boston Red Sox. That's FW Web. Bottom of the 7th inning back at Fenway Park as the Red Sox have a 2-run lead on top 5-3. The Orioles will move on to their third pitcher of the night, Troy Patton, into the game. His third appearance. He's not given up a run in an inning and 2/3. 2 strikeouts, and opponents hitting at .286 against him. As Jackie Bradley Jr. leads it off and takes strike 1. Grounder foul over by the Red Sox dugout, and he is down 0-2 tonight. He is walked and grounded back to the mound. After walking in the 3rd inning, he'd score the Red Sox 2nd run. Ellsbury, then Victorino, expected here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Up in the pen for the Red Sox, Andrew Bailey, getting ready for his inning. It has really become the 8th for the most part for Bailey. Tazawa getting a 1-2-3 7th inning and fly out and 2 strikeouts. Red Sox have now retired 11 Orioles in a row. The pitching staff combining. The 0-2 elevated. Ryan Dempster going the first 5 tonight. 3 runs, 1 earned. Koji Ihara had a 1-2-3 6th inning after the rain delay. Down to first, and Chris Davis will take it alone to the bag for the first out of the inning. So be sure to get caught up on everything you need to know about the Sox before every game this season with Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. NESN's pregame coverage of the Sox begins an hour before every game. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union, banking the DCU way. 1 out in the 7th inning for Jacoby Ellsbury. Grounded out in the first, triple, and scored in the 3rd, and then grounded out in the 5th. And on the grass at 3rd is Manny Machado. Case Ellsbury entertains any thoughts of dropping one down. Patton spending time last year, better part of a month on the DL, the right ankle sprain. This one fouled off to the left, out of play. At one point had a 22-game scoreless streak going, 17 innings total. The last 31 games of last year had a 0.93 earned run average. 29 innings just giving up 3 earned runs. Most games he's worked in a season, and was a big part of what Buck Showalter was doing last year, and the improved bullpen for the O's. Again down to Davis, and again he will take it himself. 2 down. Pretty much with the Orioles last year, once you get past the 6th inning, they would shorten games in a hurry on you, especially Pedro Strop in the 8th and Johnson in the 9th, and they took care of business in a big way in the pen like they had not in years past. Two down in the inning for Shane Victorino. Pitch in there for strike 1. Victorino tonight is grounded back to the mound, hit a sac fly, picked up his 5th RBI, and has popped out to short. That one grabs the outside corner.
Breaking ball that time. Backdoor breaking ball. Borderline strike on the outside part of the plate. Victorino leaning over. He thought it was outside.
In the air to left field. Nate McLouth makes his way in and over. And the Red Sox are down in order in the 7th inning. We head to the 8th. Andrew Bailey time. 5-3 Red Sox. lead over the Orioles as we get ready for the top half of the 8th inning. And Jerry, the incredible streak comes to an end here tonight at Fenway Park. The streak, which of course began May 15th of 2003, 794 regular season games, 820 games including postseason, the longest sellout streak in Major League professional sports. Broke the Major League record, of course, back in 2008. Total official attendance during that streak, 29,067,339. The Red Sox record during that streak was a .612 winning percentage for Boston. And of course, the Portland Trailblazers, they had 744 regular season games and 814 including playoffs. So the Red Sox surpassing them, and the Red Sox streak began May 15th of 2003. You see the Portland Trailblazers number, Colorado, Cleveland, Washington, and Colorado, the other notable streaks, but the Red Sox and Fenway Park more than all of them. And what has been a great tribute to Red Sox Nation over the years, the current ownership group, when they took over, they added 3,502 seats. And of course, that stretch began in May of '03. Really incredible.
Just remarkable to see the ballpark filled as many times in consecutive games as it was. And you know, there are players playing who have never played in anything but a full house here at Fenway Park, and that's just remarkable. I mean, it really is. The Red Sox expected that streak to end tonight, second game of the season here in 2013.
And 5 members of the 2003 team still active in the major leagues. David Ortiz, only member of the Red Sox who is on the current roster, or the 40-man at the moment with the DL situation. This one fouled back. Bronson Arroyo, one of those guys, Derek Lowe, Bruce Chen, and Brandon Lyon still pitching in the major leagues, and they were all part of the '03 team. In that game, May 15th of '03, Pedro Martinez pitched 6 scoreless innings in a 12-3 victory over the Texas Rangers, and that got it all started. Pedro Martinez would have the highest winning percentage during the streak. He was 15-4 during the sellout streak here at Fenway.
Don, you're talking about what the Red Sox ownership group has done to this ballpark, and the Red Sox ownership group has actually invested approximately $285 million in the 10 years that they've been here. And Red Sox principal owner John Henry actually spoke earlier, and he said this streak is a reflection of a phenomenal period of baseball in Boston and America's greatest ballpark. He said, but more than that, it's a testament to the baseball passion of New England fans. And I spoke with a couple players earlier today, and that's all they could talk about, is the fact that Boston is the best place to play baseball in the United States.
Now tonight with the rain, tough to tell how many would have been here, Jerry, in a situation tonight, a cold, rainy night at Fenway Park. It was much more crowded here early prior to the rain delay, and certainly less here now as Manny Machado bats a leadoff walk for Nate McLouth against Andrew Bailey, and Bailey falling behind 1-0, and out goes Saltalamacchia.
Bailey a little humped up here for this game, as he a little bit high with that first pitch, and Saltalamacchia out to try to calm him down a little bit.
Machado pops it up. Foul off first base. Napoli and Saltalamacchia. This has got trouble written all over it, but Napoli makes the catch, reaching up over Saltalamacchia. Another tough communication there, as now they communicate. But the job done. 1 out.
Once again, on a pop-up like that, if the first baseman can get there, he has priority. And he makes the call. Saltalamacchia gets knocked off the ball a little bit, but the Red Sox fortunately do get the out.
One down in the inning. McLeod still at first base, and now Nick Markakis coming up. Homered in the 4th inning. 1 for 3 night. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-1. And the Coors Light Refresherator as we look into the Red Sox bullpen. 25 strikeouts in 23 innings pitched this season. That includes 3 tonight. 1 for Koji Uehara and 2 for Shinichi Tozawa. And that pen is busy again. Miller up. So is Clayton Mortensen on his birthday. 1-1 pitch. Strike 2.
Bailey rearing back with that cut fastball at 85 miles an hour. High strike called.
Well, a relatively short lead at first base at the moment, held on by Napoli. 2-2 pitch coming to Markakis. And a swing and a miss. Bailey strikes him out. First K for Bailey. 2 down.
And Bailey coming back with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Throws it right by Markakis, who has a home run in the ball game. That ball right down Broadway. Amica Insurance is the proud sponsor of the Amica Pit Zone.
McLeod walked to be in the inning. Since then, a pop out and a strikeout. It takes us to Adam Jones. Struck out in the first, singled, and scored in the fourth, then struck out in the 6th inning. Jumping on that first pitch and fouling it back. Action for the Orioles in their pen. Darren O'Day warming in the bullpen. Light rain starting to fall again at Fenway. The outside edge, 1-1. Ryan Dempsey tonight, 5 innings, 3 runs, 1 earned. Bullpen has not allowed a run since. Uehara, Tozawa, and Bailey. Leadoff walk broke up 11 in a row retired by Red Sox pitching. One and two. A fastball from Bailey. Two and two. Chris Davis waiting on deck. Orioles batting here in the top half of the 8th. He struck him out. Adam Jones strikes out. Back-to-back Ks for Bailey. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Sox on top by 2. brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines, DCU, and by Sullivan Tire. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Dustin Pedroia, Mike Napoli, and Will Middlebrooks. Aaron O'Day into the game now for the Orioles. Their 4th pitcher of the night, and Pedroia sends it foul down the right field line, out of play. O'Day had been warming up in the pen for the O's. 4th appearance of the year, has not given up a run in 3 1/3. To left center field. Jones on the run will get there to make the catch and grab it right before it hits the grass. Wow, he went a long way to get that and just did get there.
Yeah, the key is look at the jump he gets. I mean, he's off on contact. He's shading Pedroia slightly to the opposite field, but as soon as contact was made, he was off. And he's able to make the nice backhanded catch and take extra bases away from Pedroia.
A 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, 2009 and 2012. And last year had a great year, not only defensively, but at the plate. Really came into his own last season. Here's Mike Napoli with 1 out. In there for strike 1. Napoli is flied out to center, walked, and struck out. Sure, I know it's early, but what a difference a year makes. I mean, just the feeling around this club this season so far has been so much different.
Well, that's why I thought that first road trip was so important for the Red Sox, Don. I really did, you know, to get off to a decent start compared to what they had gotten off to for the last couple of seasons.
Chasing is Napoli. He strikes out for the 2nd time tonight, 2 down in the 8th.
Just really a confidence builder as you see the sidearm delivery there from O'Day, almost submarine style, and that ball rising as it goes away from Napoli.
Two down in the 8th, and Will Middlebrooks, the batter, he is 0 for 3. He's flied out, bounced into a double play, and struck out. Yes, he takes strike 1. Strike 2. Troy Patton went the 7th and retired everybody he faced. Now O'Day trying to have another 1-2-3 inning. Just missed the outside corner. So he has stayed on Middlebrooks, moving a little bit further out each time. Swing and a miss, strikes him out and ends the inning. Red Sox down in order. We head to the 9th. Joe Hanrahan will be in. Red Sox have a 2-run lead. head to the top half of the 9th inning. Hanrahan into the game for the Red Sox. A Thursday on the Dennis and Callahan Show, DNC will break down Ryan Dempster's Fenway debut and speak with Celtics coach Doc Rivers at 9 a.m. All begins at 6 a.m. here on Nesson and on 93.7 WEI-FM. Dennis and Callahan, most listened to morning show in New England. Well, Hanrahan into the game here for the 9th inning as Chris Davis leads it off, taking a hack at that first pitch, a fastball at 96 miles an hour. Hanrahan in 4 innings of work, 3 for 3 in save opportunities. His 4th opportunity right now. 2.25 earned run average. Able to grab the save even though he gave up a home run and a double on Monday's home opener for the Red Sox. Davis cranks it foul off the front of the Red Sox dugout. Boston in the shift on the right side with Pedroia in short right, and they swing Will Middlebrooks over the third baseman to the second base spot. Only Stephen Drew on the left side. Well, for every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings or one where the Red Sox get a save, CVS Pharmacy make a donation to Boston Children's Hospital as they aim for a goal of $25,000 in donations this season. Up and away at 96. Under foul down by the tarp. $16 RBIs for Davis in the first 4 games of the year. He's got 17 right now. Orioles playing in their 8th game now of the year. 1-2. High fly ball to center field and deep. Ellsbury going back at the wall. That ball is gone. Straightaway center field for Davis. His home run brings the Orioles back within a run. Second straight outing that Hanrahan has given up a home run in. For Davis, his 5th home run of the year, and it's now 5-4.
Looks like Jacoby Ellsbury saying somebody reached over the fence and interfered with that ball. It's the slider from Hanrahan. The fastball, he gave up a home run on an opening day. This time it's a breaking ball to straightaway center field for Davis, who picks up number 5 on the season. Now, does somebody reach over? Boy, it's hard to tell from that angle. I think the ball was gone.
This is down the right field line, foul.
Jacoby was kind of pointing up like a fan had reached over the fence, but by that angle it looked like the ball was definitely out of the ballpark. Yeah, I'd say gone.
I would say gone. Sliced foul off to the left, 0-2. Wieters 1 for 3 tonight. He singled in the 4th inning. Swing and a miss. Wieters strikes out for the first out of the 9th inning.
The slider again by Hanrahan, but this time much better results. Down and in off the plate to pick up the strikeout against Wieters.
So 1 out of the inning for J.J. Hardy. Hardy takes strike 1. Hanrahan gave up 8 home runs last year. That was in 59 2/3 innings of relief. Only 1 the year before that. Swing and a miss. That one blown by him at 97. A little extra on that.
That's the hardest fastball he's featured since being in the ball game. 97, up and out of the strike zone.
One and two to J.J. Hardy. Little skip in, 2-2. Andrew Bailey worked the eighth. He did walk a batter, but struck out two. Bullpen had been untouched until the home run by Davis to begin this, the ninth. Popped up. Down the line at third comes Middlebrooks into foul ground. Staggers but makes the catch, 2 down. Hess and Hess Express are donating $500 to the pediatric trauma program at Boston Children's Hospital for every home run the Red Sox hit this season. Sox hit 2 more home runs tonight, bringing the total amount of donations from Hess and Hess Express to $5,500. Our thanks to Hess and Hess Express, committed to helping the cause. Daniel Nava with a home run, and Jared Saltalamacchia. They went back-to-back in the 6th inning. 2 down in the 9th as Ryan Flaherty with a swing and a miss for strike 1. He's had the misfortune of starting the season 0 for his first 17. Hanrahan tonight looking for his 100th save. Outside, ball 2. Stay with NESN after tonight's game for a complete recap at Fenway Park on WB Mason Extra Innings Live. Tom Caron will anchor NESN's breakdown of tonight's action, including clubhouse reaction, interviews, and John Farrell's post-game coverage. WB Mason's Extra Innings Live. This one sent foul off to the left, out of play. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 down in the 9th. Left side and through into left field, a base hit, in the first hit of the year for Ryan Flaherty.
Well, when you've been struggling as much as Flaherty, to get a hit like this in a 1-run ball game kind of makes you forget about your other at-bats. A little slice between third and short. So he keeps the inning alive after 3 strikeouts in the ball game.
Well, Ryan Flaherty will be pinch run for as Alexei Casilla comes into the game to pinch run. So he's at first now, 2 down, and Nolan Reimold coming up here for the O's. Tying run is at first base for Baltimore. Ball 1. Reimold popped out in the 3rd, reached on a fielder's choice in the 4th, and then struck out swinging in the 7th. Runner goes. The pitch is outside from his knees. The throw goes into center field. But not seeing it was Casilla. He was kind of late to react, so he stays at second base.
He goes into the head for a slide at second base and never really saw the ball get by the infielders. From his knees, Saltalamacchia making the throw. That's going to tail up above the infielders. But Casilla never saw it go into center field. By the time he does, it's too late to move up a bag. But a big steal there by Casilla.
Tying run moves into scoring position. as Hanrahan falls behind 2-0 to Nolan Reimold. Ball 3. Ball 4, and he walks him. So down to first base goes Reimold. 2 on, 2 down, and the top of the order, Nate McLouth, would be next. There's a full-fledged meeting at the mound. Everybody coming from the infield, along with Jared Saltalamacchia. And now Juan Nieves will join this conversation. Red Sox had a 2-run lead coming into the inning, but Chris Davis, it's a home run to straightaway center field to bring the O's within 1. Then Hanrahan would get the next 2 outs before Ryan Flaherty gets a opposite field base hit. Pinch runner and Casillas stole second, a walk to Reimold. So runners at first and second with 2 down, and Nate McLouth coming up. McLouth tonight has been on twice, both times walking. He was grounded out and struck out in his career, 1 for 3 against Hanrahan. And another pinch runner coming up here for Baltimore. Chris Dickerson, the former Yankee, comes in to run at first base. So Reimold comes out of the game after his 2-out walk here in the 9th. McLouth takes strike 1. Casillas at second, Dickerson at first, 2 outs in the Orioles' 9th inning. That is down and in. Did he go, though? No. They check with Ed Hickox.
They're trying to get a bite on that breaking ball, that slider down and in. And McLouth almost does, but is able to control the head of the bat.
McLouth that time did go around, and it's 1-2.
That looked to be a changeup that time from Hanrahan. Well, a slider rotation, but didn't slide very much.
Most pitches that Hanrahan has thrown in an inning for the Red Sox this season. Only 3 times last year did he throw more than this. The 1-2 pitch to McLouth. Not close, 2-2. Reach back, get it up to 97, but not tantalizing enough for McLouth. In case, Red Sox have left-hander Andrew Miller up now in the pen. Hanrahan trying to get his 100th career save. 2-2 pitch. Under foul. Two to McLouth. Ball 3, full count.
A very close pitch right there. And it looked like the home plate umpire wanted to raise that right arm.
Schneidberger to get a start here, 3-2 with 2 outs. Runners at first and second. Tying run in scoring position at second base. Inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Back-to-back walks allowed by Hanrahan.
Not missing by very much. Saltalamacchia had the reach across his body, and that's what probably called why it was called a ball. Hanrahan thought he had that outside corner.
Pitch 6 and pitch 7, both very, very close.
Yep.
So now he's got to deal with Manny Machado. The pitch. Bounces in and by him. From third base comes Casilla, and the Orioles tie this game. The blown save for Hanrahan.
Well, he tries to start off Machado with a slider. And the slider is going to bounce, get by Saltalamacchia, up over his arm, and the ball game is tied up.
That slider's been going straight down the last 2 times he's thrown it. This one gets by him. Now a high fly ball to deep left field. Off the bat of Machado that is gone into the monster seats. A 3-run home run, and the Orioles take an 8-5 lead. Second home run Hanrahan has given up in the inning. And how this has changed in a blink of an eye. Red Sox closer Joel Hanrahan blowing his first save in a Red Sox uniform, and ends up facing 7 batters, giving up 5 runs, and the latest a 3-run home run by Manny Machado.
Well, fastball middle in too, and Machado apparently looking for the ball in because he really cleaned it out.
Eight to 5 the score with a pitching change. Of the night, the blown save for Joel Hanrahan. All he can do is shake his head at this point. He gives up 2 home runs in the inning, solo shot, and a 3-run shot. And now Andrew Miller into the game. As Nick Markakis bats, Miller now becoming the 6th Red Sox pitcher of the night. His 3rd appearance, no record. He has worked an inning, a 9.00 earned run average. With 2 outs and nobody on. I'm going to look back at Ryan Flaherty, who came to bat 0 for 17 on the season and gets a base hit into left field to get it started for the Orioles.
Yeah, it kind of makes him forget about the start of the season, doesn't it?
Yes.
And the night, he had 3 strikeouts prior to that at bat, and is able to get that base hit to the opposite field to get things going here in the 9th inning. They actually were already going after the home run, but that was a huge hit.
So now all of a sudden they have their closer up and Jim Johnson up in the pen. The Red Sox in the bottom of the ninth inning will be expecting Nava, Saltalamacchia, and Drew. Five runs allowed by Red Sox closer Joel Hanrahan. Well, the second time he's allowed that many in relief appearance. Miller strikes out Markakis and ends the inning with the damage done. 8-5, Orioles on top. Brought to you by your Subaru dealers of New England, Digital Federal Credit Union, and by Sullivan Tire, and by Southwest Airlines. Manny Machado with a 3-run home run, a 5-run top half of the ninth inning for the Orioles. And Daniel Nava leads it off for the Red Sox here in the bottom of the ninth inning. Johnson into the game, the closer for the Orioles. 2 for 2 so far in save opportunities. Not allowed a run so far this season. And it is quickly 0-2. He was outstanding last year for the Orioles. Alexei Casilla stays in the game at second base. A new pinch ran for Ryan Flaherty. 5 runs allowed by Hanrahan in the top of the ninth. '51 saves a year ago for Jim Johnson. This one grounded foul down by the tarp. He appeared in 71 games last year and saved 51 of them for the Orioles. A 2.48 earned run average. New team record for the Orioles. One-two pitch to Nava. That one just misses. 2-2. Close pitches. Last inning they worked against Hanrahan, and Johnson not getting the call. Corey Blazer, the umpire tonight. Nava staying alive. Saltalamacchia be next, and then Stephen Drew scheduled to bat in the inning.
Pretty much 3 pitches from Johnson. That fastball slider that we just saw, a changeup.
Line down the left field line. It'll be a foul ball. Finding what little foul ground there is down that left field line.
And Nava reaching out on a changeup. And you see this ball slicing in the foul territory. Up against the padding of the wall.
Saltalamacchia, then Drew scheduled to bat in the inning. This one flared foul off to the left. Will get back into the seats and out of play. Ninth pitch of the at-bat coming up. And that's a fly ball to center field. Adam Jones is out there. And he'll make the catch for the first out of the bottom of the ninth. So 1 out and Saltalamacchia coming up. Big night tonight for Jared at the plate. 2 doubles and a home run. As Nava and Saltalamacchia went back-to-back in the 6th inning. First home run of the year for Saltalamacchia. Strike over the outside corner. Well, this will be a pretty tough pill to swallow here for the Red Sox tonight. The toughest loss of the season if it does go in that direction. Red Sox now trailing by 3 runs. They were so close to finishing this game. A couple of strikes away for Hanrahan. And he did not get the benefit of the calls on. And Manny Machado takes care of business in a big way.
Red Sox looked like they were in pretty good shape after they had those back-to-back home runs from Nava and Saltalamacchia, and very good work going out of the bullpen. There's that changeup from Johnson. Not afraid to throw it at any time.
Didn't go, says Ed Hickox. Swing and a miss. Strikes out Saltalamacchia. 2 down in the 9th.
Fastball this time. Challenge time. Again above the belt. The swing and miss.
Nine in a row retired by Orioles pitching. 2 down in the 9th inning for Stephen Drew. 0 for 3 in the game as Drew takes strike 1 in his Red Sox debut tonight. Flied out to the warning track and left in the 2nd inning. Since then has grounded out twice. Ground ball right side. Casillas got it. Throw to first in time, and the ball game is over. So a tough one tonight to swallow for the Red Sox. Very toughest loss of the year.
It certainly was. It looked like a Red Sox W. The Red Sox were in control of this ball game 5-3, but Hanrahan, a couple of close pitches didn't go his way, but basically did not have it tonight. And the credit to the Orioles, they didn't quit. They battled back all the way, and probably the toughest loss of the year for the Red Sox.
8-5 is the final. The Orioles beat the Red Sox. A tough one, Tom Caron, tonight from Fenway.